Warning! It sucks I have to say this, but nothing in this article should be taken as absolute truth or professional medical advice. People should do their own research before taking any advice, before doing any protocol, even advice and protocols from an MD. Again, do your own research and reach your own conclusions, since your truth is always true for you until it is not. Calcium-magnesium metabolism. There is antagonism as well as cooperation between calcium and magnesium. About half of the total body magnesium is found in bones, and the other half inside the cells of tissues and organs. Only 1% is in the blood, and the kidneys try to keep this level constant by excreting more or less with the urine. In contrast, 99% of calcium is in bones and the rest in the fluid outside of cells. Muscles contract when calcium moves into the cells, and they relax when calcium is again pumped out and magnesium moves in. This cellular pump requires much energy to pump calcium out, and if cells are low in energy, then calcium may accumulate inside cells. Low cellular energy may be due to candida, faulty sugar or fat metabolism, deficiencies, or accumulating metabolic wastes and toxins. This then leads to only partial relaxation of the muscles with stiffness, a tendency to cramps, and poor blood and lymph circulation. The problem gets worse the more calcium moves from bones into soft tissue. Nerve cells can also accumulate calcium, leading to faulty nerve transmission. In the lens, it causes cataracts. Hormonal output keeps reducing as endocrine glands increasingly calcify, and all other cells become handicapped in their normal functions. In addition, it causes intracellular magnesium deficiency. Magnesium is needed to activate countless enzymes, and a deficiency leads to inefficient and blocked energy production. A further problem is that excess calcium damages the cell membrane and makes it difficult for nutrients to move in and wastes to move out. When the intracellular calcium level gets too high, the cell will die. Here we can see the importance of boron as a regulator of cell membrane functions, especially in regard to movements of calcium and magnesium. With boron deficiency, too much calcium moves into the cell, while magnesium cannot move inside to displace it. This is a condition of old age and of the boron deficiency diseases leading up to it. While in good health, and especially in younger years, a calcium-magnesium ratio of 2:1 is normal and beneficial and supplied with a good diet. But with increasing age, boron deficiency, and resulting disease conditions, we need progressively less calcium and more magnesium. For boron to be fully effective in reversing tissue calcification, ample magnesium is required. For elderly individuals, I recommend 400 to 600 milligrams of magnesium, together with the daily borax supplementation spaced out during the day, and with protracted joint problems, additional transdermal magnesium. However, oral magnesium may need to be adjusted according to its laxative effect. I am doubtful whether calcium supplements are needed and beneficial, even in case of osteoporosis. In my view, these individuals have plenty of calcium stored in soft tissues where it does not belong, and supplementing boron and magnesium is expected to redeposit this misplaced calcium into bones. I regard the medical focus on a high calcium intake as a prescription for accelerated aging. What and how much to use? In some countries, for instance, Australia, New Zealand, USA, borax can still be found in the laundry and cleaning sections of supermarkets. There is no food-grade borax available or necessary. The label usually states that it is 99% pure, which is safe to use, and is the legal standard for agricultural-grade borax. Up to 1% mining and refining residues are permitted. Boric acid, if available, may be used at about 2/3 the dose of borax. Firstly, dissolve a lightly rounded teaspoonful, 5 to 6 grams of borax, in 1 liter of good quality water free of chlorine and fluoride. This is your concentrated solution. Keep the bottle out of reach of small children. Standard dose equals 1 teaspoon, 5 milliliters, of concentrate. This has 25 to 30 milligrams of borax and provides about 3 milligrams of boron. Take 1 dose per day mixed with drink or food. If that feels right, then take a second dose with another meal. If there is no specific health problem, or as a maintenance dose, you may continue indefinitely with 1 or 2 doses daily. If you do have a problem, such as arthritis, osteoporosis, and related conditions, menopause, stiffness due to advancing years, and also to improve low sex hormone production, increase intake to 3 or more spaced-out standard doses for several months or longer until you feel that your problem has sufficiently improved. Then drop back to 1 or 2 doses per day. If you want to try the higher doses recommended by Earth Clinic for treating candida and removing fluoride from the body, using your bottle of concentrated solution, lower dose for low to normal weight, 100 milliliters, 1/8 teaspoon of borax powder. Drink spaced out during the day. Higher dose for heavier individuals, 200 milliliters, equal to 1/4 teaspoon of borax powder. Drink spaced out during the day. Always start with a standard dose and increase gradually to the intended maximum. Take the maximum amounts for 4 or 5 days a week, as long as required. Borax is rather alkaline, and in higher concentrations has a soapy taste. You may disguise this with lemon juice, vinegar, or ascorbic acid. Keep the bottle with the concentrated solution out of reach of small children. Borax and boric acid have been classified as reproductive poisons in Europe, and since December 2010 are no longer available to the public within the EU. Presently, borax is still available in Switzerland, but shipment to Germany is not permitted. In Germany, a small amount, 20 to 50 grams, may be ordered through a pharmacy as ant poison. It will be registered. Boron tablets can be bought from health shops or the internet, commonly with 3 milligrams of boron. These contain tightly bound boron not present in ionic form as with borax or boric acid. While suitable as a general boron supplement, I do not expect them to work against candida and mycoplasmas or as a quick arthritis, osteoporosis, or menopause cure. Most scientific studies and individual experiences were with borax or boric acid. To improve effectiveness, I recommend 3 or more spaced-out boron tablets daily for an extended period, combined with sufficient magnesium and a suitable antimicrobial program. Possible side effects. While side effects from pharmaceutical drugs tend to be negative and often dangerous, with natural medicines such as borax therapy, these are usually healing reactions with beneficial long-term effects. Most common is the Herxheimer reaction from eliminating candida. In some of the above forum posts, rapid improvement was experienced within days. This is always a functional response. High cellular calcium levels cause muscle contraction with cramps or spasms as a common cause of pain. Boron, especially together with magnesium, can rapidly relax these muscles and take away the pain. However, with long-standing severe calcifications, a large amount of calcium cannot be redistributed in a short time. This leads to increased calcium levels in the affected area, especially the hips and shoulders, and can cause problems for a considerable time, such as a tendency to severe cramping and pain, or problems with the blood circulation or nerve transmission. Nerve-related effects in hands and feet may be numbness or reduced sensitivity or feeling in the skin. Higher amounts of calcium and fluoride passing through the kidneys may cause temporary kidney pain. Such healing reactions cannot be avoided when aiming for a higher level of health. Whenever you experience an unpleasant effect, reduce or temporarily stop borax until the problem subsides. Then gradually start increasing again. Helpful additional measures are a greatly increased fluid intake using more organic acids such as lemon juice, ascorbic acid, or vinegar, and improving lymph flow as with rebounding, walking, or inverted positions. Toxicity issues. Government health agencies are concerned about boron toxicity. You might be concerned as well if you read the following pertaining to sodium chloride or table salt. Acute oral toxicity, LD50, the dose at which half of the tested animals die. 3,000 milligrams per kilogram, rat. Chronic effects on humans. Mutagenic for mammalian somatic cells. Slightly hazardous in case of skin contact, ingestion, or inhalation. Lowest published lethal oral dose in man, 1,000 milligrams per kilogram. Causes adverse reproductive effects in humans, fetotoxicity, abortion, by intraplacental route, may increase risk of toxemia of pregnancy in susceptible women, may cause adverse reproductive effects and birth defects in animals, particularly rats and mice, fetotoxicity, abortion, musculoskeletal abnormalities, and maternal effects on ovaries, fallopian tubes, may affect genetic material, mutagenic. Ingestion of large quantities can irritate the stomach with nausea and vomiting. May affect behavior, muscle spasticity, contraction, somnolence. Sense organs, metabolism, and cardiovascular system. Continued exposure may produce dehydration, internal organ congestion, and coma. Now compare the sodium chloride toxicity with the Material Safety Data Sheet, or MSDS, for borax. Low acute oral toxicity, LD50 in rats, 4,500 to 6,000 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. Reproductive development toxicity. Animal feeding studies in rat, mouse, and dog at high doses have demonstrated effects on fertility and testes. Studies with boric acid in the rat, mouse, and rabbit at high doses demonstrate developmental effects on the fetus, including fetal weight loss and minor skeletal variations. The doses administered were many times in excess of those to which humans would normally be exposed. No evidence of carcinogenity in mice. No mutagenic activity was observed in a battery of short-term mutagenicity assays. Human epidemiology studies show no increase in pulmonary disease in occupational populations with chronic exposures to borat dust, and no effect on fertility. Here you see that table salt is 50 to 100% more toxic than borax. It changes the genetic material and is mutagenic, while borax is harmless in this regard. Infants are most at risk from high borax ingestion. It has been estimated that 5 to 10 grams can cause severe vomiting, diarrhea, shock, and even death, but it also says that lethal doses are not well documented in the literature. The following toxicity data are from documents of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the Centers for Disease Control. A review of 784 accidental human poisonings from 10 to 88 grams of boric acid reported no fatalities, with 88% of cases being asymptomatic, meaning they did not notice anything. However, gastrointestinal, cardiovascular, hepatic, renal, and central nervous system effects, dermatitis, arrhythmia, and death have been observed in some children and adults exposed to more than 84 milligrams of boron per kilogram, corresponding to more than 40 grams of borax for 60 kilograms of body weight. Animal studies have identified reproductive toxicity as the most sensitive effects of boron ingestion. Exposure of rats, mice, and dogs for several weeks showed some damage to the testes and sperm at doses of more than 26 milligrams of boron per kilogram, which corresponds to 15 grams of borax per day for 60 kilograms of body weight. Most at risk is the developing fetus, and in the animal studies, rats were most affected. In one study, slight reductions in the fetal body weight were already found at 13.7 milligrams of boron per kilogram per day used during pregnancy. The no-effect dose was set at less than 13.7 milligrams per kilogram per day, corresponding to about 7 grams of borax per day for 60 kilograms of body weight. With an added safety factor, a no-effect value of 9.6 milligrams of boron per kilogram per day was calculated, corresponding to 5 grams of borax for 60 kilograms. However, a rat study lasting for 3 generations found no reproductive toxicity or effect on the parents or offspring at 30 milligrams of boron per kilogram per day. This dose corresponds to 17 grams of borax for 60 kilograms ingested for 3 generations. In another 3-generation study, no problem was found at 17.5 milligrams of boron per kilogram per day, corresponding to 9 grams of borax per 60 kilograms, while the next higher tested dose of 58.5 milligrams per kilogram per day, corresponding to 30 grams of borax per 60 kilograms, resulted in infertility. Therefore, we can assume that the safe reproductive dose is about 20 grams per 60 kilograms per day. Human studies of the possible association between impaired fertility and high boron levels in water, soil, and dust in Turkish populations and boron mining and processing workers found no effect. One study even reported elevated fertility rates in borax production workers as compared to the U.S. national average. All this is important because possible reproductive toxicity is the official reason for the present assault on borax. The sodium chloride MSDS mentioned above also states, while sodium chloride has been used as a negative control in some reproductive studies, it has also been used as an example that almost any chemical can cause birth defects in experimental animals if studied under the right conditions. Keep this in mind when you read the following. The assault on borax. Arthritis in its various forms and its close relative, osteoporosis, affect about 30% of the population in developed countries. Osteoporosis is responsible for more long-term hospital care than any other individual disease. This is due to the very high incidence of fractures and especially the protracted nature of hip fractures. This is a main source of income for the medical pharmaceutical system. If the boron-magnesium cure for these diseases should become widely known, this vital income stream would dry up and the system collapse. As this is the biggest and most profitable industry in the world, this cannot be allowed to happen. When Dr. Newnham discovered the boron arthritis cure, it was not a big problem for the pharmaceuticals because news traveled slowly and was easily suppressed. This is very different now with internet communication. Most research funding comes from the pharmaceutical industry, and nothing has come forward to duplicate Dr. Newnham's findings and other positive osteoporosis studies. Instead, funding goes into the development of patentable boron drugs for limited application, as in chemotherapy or even to discredit boron. A test tube experiment found that a relatively low dose of about 4 grams of borax can damage lymphocytes, just like an earlier test tube study showed that vitamin C supplements are toxic. Most positive borax studies now come from China, Japan, and Turkey. Furthermore, PubMed is a publicly funded search facility for biomedical research publications. While other articles for Newnham RE and Zoo LY are still listed, the two most important borax publications mentioned earlier, about the arthritis trial at the Royal Melbourne Hospital and the treatment of skeletal fluorosis in China, are no longer listed, but they belong there and obviously had been there originally. I suspect that they have been deliberately removed to prevent them from being quoted in other research. In addition, increasing effort goes into publicly demonizing borax for its alleged reproductive and infant toxicity. As an example, I recently read an article by a senior scientist of the supposedly green environmental working group. In it, the perceived dangers of borax were so exaggerated that most comments in effect said, "Thank you for opening my eyes. I did not know how poisonous and dangerous borax is. I certainly will not use it anymore in my laundry or for cleaning my toilet and kitchen." This is obviously a deliberate campaign to make people grateful for banning borax from public sale. For laundry and cleaning purposes, borax substitute now replaces the product previously sold as borax. The EU has spearheaded this campaign. In June 2010, borax and boric acid were reclassified as reprotoxic Category 2, suggesting that they may be harmful to the reproductive functions of humans in high doses, and the product package must display the skull and crossbones symbol. From December 2010, these products were no longer available for public sale within the EU. While this classification now applies for all of Europe, non-EU countries still have some leeway in regard to public sales. This initiative is part of a globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals, GHS, which is to be implemented as soon as possible. Australia is well advanced on preparing regulations to implement the GHS for industrial chemicals, with new regulations expected in 2012. The European Chemicals Agency gave as reason for their reclassification of boron products, paraphrased, "The available data do not indicate major differences between laboratory animals and humans. Therefore, it must be assumed that the effects seen in animals could occur in humans, as epidemiological studies in humans are insufficient to demonstrate the absence of an adverse effect of inorganic borates on fertility. 17.5 milligrams of boron per kilogram per day was derived as a no-event level for male and female fertility. For the rat, decreased fetal weight occurred at 13.7 milligrams of boron per kilogram per day, and a safe limit of 9.6 milligrams per kilogram per day has been derived." What they are really saying is this: while we have no human data, animal studies suggest that for adult reproductive functions, a daily ingestion of about 2 tablespoons of borax is safe. But to be absolutely sure that no one is harmed, we will ban it totally. Importantly, this ruling is not related to borax in foods or supplements where it is already banned, but only for general use as in laundry or cleaning products or as insecticides. Because borax is not readily inhaled or absorbed through intact skin, it is difficult to see how even a few milligrams daily could get into the body with the conventional use. If the same standard would apply to other chemicals, there would be none left. The key study in this assessment was published in 1972. Why is this being dug up now to justify banning borax when it was of no concern for the past 40 years? It does not make any scientific sense, especially that you consider that the main chemical in the new borax substitute, sodium percarbonate, is about 3 times more toxic than borax. Acute oral LD50 levels for animals are from 1,034 to 2,200 milligrams per kilogram per day. Even the commonly used sodium bicarbonate with an animal LD50 of 3,360 milligrams per kilogram is nearly twice as toxic as borax. Both of these chemicals have not been tested for long-term reproductive toxicity at the high doses that cause fertility problems in rats and mice. The same applies to washing powders. It has been stated that no toxicity is expected if used in the approved way, or that reproductive tests have not been done. Ingredients in these products are more toxic than borax. Why can they be used in the approved way, but not borax? And how about really toxic items, such as caustic soda and hydrochloric acid? And why do they remain available to the public when one of the safest household chemicals is banned, despite the fact that it is absolutely impossible to cause any reproductive harm with the approved use? Regardless of the lack of any scientific credibility, the stage has been set for borax and boric acid to be globally removed from public sale at short or no notice. Even low-level and less effective boron tablets are now tightly controlled by the pharmaceutical industry and may be restricted at any time through Codex Alimentarius regulations. With this, the medical pharmaceutical system has safely diffused any potential danger that borax may have posed to its profitability and survival. About the author. Walter Last combines the training and work experience of research chemist, biochemist, and toxicologist with that of practicing nutritionist and natural therapist. He was born and grew up in Germany and has held positions in medical institutions at the universities of Greifswald, Cologne, and Munich, working in research and toxicological investigations. He was chief forensic chemist at Cologne and worked at bioscience laboratories in Los Angeles. In 1970, he settled in New Zealand and, dissatisfied with drug-based medicine, practiced as a natural therapist. He has lived in Queensland since 1981 and has investigated and experimented with a wide range of natural therapies to improve the effectiveness of natural medicine in treating serious and medically incurable diseases. Walter Last is the author of Heal Yourself, Healing Foods, and The Natural Way to Heal, 65 Ways to Create Superior Health, and is the main contributor to the Self-Help Cancer Cure book. He is a regular contributor to Nexus magazine, and his latest books are the Heal Yourself series. Research and objectives. Walter Last has spent almost 40 years researching health issues. His knowledge is based on sound scientific principles and up-to-date information on the causes and cures of diseases, especially the number of metabolic illnesses which beset society today. The author is constantly updating his articles and books as new research is carried out and new discoveries are made, and his articles are regularly featured in Nexus magazine worldwide, as well as in various other publications. The main objective of these books is to increase each individual's knowledge of the functioning of their own bodies and the gradual transition to a more healthy state with the use of natural therapies. This is of benefit in helping to avoid various drugs, many of which merely mask the illness. These methods have been proven to be extremely effective for a great many people. Perseverance is the key. Of course, this is not the path for everyone, as it takes dedication and patience. This is different from normal drugs, which work almost instantly to relieve symptoms, but which do not necessarily cure. The aim is to bring the body and the immune system back to a state where a cure follows as a natural consequence. Naturally, for any serious disease, or if you are unsure of a particular course of action, seek the help of a competent health professional. Good luck with your efforts.